Have you ever wondered where the future comes from? Well, for a huge chunk of the 20th century, it came from one place, a single building called Bell Labs. It wasn't just a company, it was a legendary idea factory that literally built the foundations of our modern world. Today, we're going to dig into its incredible story. I know, that sounds like a crazy exaggeration, right? But honestly, as you're about to see, it's not that far from the truth. Seriously, from the smartphone in your hand to the internet itself, the DNA of pretty much our entire digital life can be traced right back to this one single extraordinary place. So how in the world did they pull it off? It wasn't magic and it wasn't an accident. It was a very specific, carefully crafted formula. And the guy who wrote that formula was a visionary leader named Mervin Kelly. This is the man, Mervin Kelly. He was restless, super ambitious, and as he rose through the ranks at Bell Labs, he had this radical, almost unbelievable mission to take that chaotic, unpredictable spark of genius and turn it into a reliable industrial-scale process. He wanted to build a factory for ideas. And this quote, it gets right to the heart of how he thought. See, he hated the idea of brilliant people being siloed off in their own little departments. He believed that the real earth-shattering breakthroughs only happen when you force chemists, physicists, and engineers to literally bump into each other day after day and attack problems from every possible angle. So here it is. Here's Kelly's secret recipe. Step 1, you gather a critical mass of the absolute brightest minds on the planet. Step 2, you stick them all together in one building with these super long hallways designed to force what he called accidental collaboration. Step 3, you give them nearly unlimited funding backed by AT&T's massive telephone monopoly, so they never had to worry about short-term profits. And finally, the most radical step of all, you give them freedom. Freedom to explore, to tinker, to follow their curiosity without any concrete goals, trusting that somewhere down the line it would lead to something huge. And boy, did it pay off. Kelly's formula kicked off a golden age of invention that is just staggering. And it all started with solving one of the biggest technological headaches of the time. Okay, so by the 1940s, pretty much all electronics, radios, the telephone network, you name it, ran on these things, vacuum tubes. And let me tell you, they were a huge pain. They were big, they were fragile, they broke all the time, they guzzled power, and they got incredibly hot. The world desperately needed something better. And the solution Bell Labs came up with was the transistor. And it wasn't just an improvement, it was a total game changer. It was tiny and solid state, which is key. It means no fragile glass, no glowing parts, no moving pieces, just solid material. It used a tiny fraction of the power, it was insanely reliable, and you could mass produce them for practically nothing. This was the quantum leap that made our entire digital world possible. And it happened right here, December 1947. 3 scientists at Bell Labs, John Bardeen, Walter Brattain, and William Shockley, showed off the very first working transistor. And in that moment, the course of human history just shifted. But here's the thing that makes Bell Labs so special. Their genius wasn't just in building things you could hold in your hand. Some of their biggest contributions were pure ideas, these incredible concepts that changed not just what we could build, but how we even thought about information itself. And for that, we need to talk about Claude Shannon, a brilliant and kind of eccentric mathematician at the labs. He came up with this idea that any information, sound, pictures, words, literally anything, could be broken down into a universal currency, a language of ones and zeros, binary digits, or as he called them, bits. This is the foundational idea of all digital communication. The guy basically invented the language of the 21st century. So now they had these revolutionary building blocks, the transistor and the bit. But Bell Labs didn't just stop at the lab bench. Oh no. They took these ideas and scaled them up to build the nervous system of our modern connected planet. And just look how fast this all happened. It's kind of nuts. In just 6 years, they went from laying the first reliable phone cable across the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean to bouncing signals off a giant balloon in orbit, to launching Telstar, the satellite that gave us the first live international TV broadcasts. The speed was just world-changing. But you know how these stories go. This level of success, it came with a price. And ironically, the very thing that made Bell Labs possible, the absolute dominance of its parent company, AT&T, was about to become its biggest threat. By the 1970s, AT&T, or Ma Bell as everybody called it, wasn't just a phone company, it was the phone system for pretty much the entire United States. Its success was so complete that the US government started to see it less as a public utility and more as an illegal monopoly that was crushing all competition. And this led to a really fundamental debate. On one side, you have the monopoly, which provided that stable, long-term funding that allowed Bell Labs to do its patient, deep-dive research. But on the other hand, a deregulated market promised more competition, more choices for consumers, and faster innovation. It was a classic showdown with no easy answer. In 1974, that debate came to a head. The U.S. Department of Justice hit AT&T with a massive antitrust lawsuit with the goal of breaking the company into pieces. The long, slow dismantling of the world's greatest idea factory had officially begun. So after a decade of legal fights, AT&T was officially broken up in 1984. The factory itself was dismantled, but its ideas, its inventions, they're still echoing through literally everything we do today. I mean, just look at this list. This is the inheritance. The transistor is in every single electronic device you own. The internet gets to your house through fiber optics they pioneered. Your cell phone works because of cellular network ideas developed there. Even the Unix operating system, which is the deep foundation for macOS, iOS, and Android, was born at Bell Labs. It is just mind-blowing. So that begs the question, why haven't we seen another Bell Labs? Well, it's because the whole model for innovation has changed. The Bell Labs model was slow, patient, funded by a monopoly, and it chased fundamental research. Today's Silicon Valley model is the exact opposite. It's fueled by venture capital, it demands fast results, and the goal is always market viability, not pure discovery. They're just two completely different worlds. In the end, the very structure that allowed Bell Labs to be so successful, that massive integrated monopoly, was the thing that was ultimately seen as unsustainable. The unique formula was broken, the factory was taken apart, but the impact of the ideas that came out of it, well, that's forever. And that leaves us with one final, really important question for our own time. In this era of fast-paced, market-driven innovation, is there still a place for a patient, curiosity-driven idea factory? Could we, or maybe even should we, ever try to build one again?